Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the organizing committee, I, Dr. Deepika Sharma, welcome you all to the second day of the National Workshop on Bioinformatics, Resources, Tools, and its Applications. Today, we have our first hands-on session of the workshop. We have two speakers with us today who will give you an overview about the various open source databases that are available on the web. Databases are important bioinformatics resources. They are repositories where a huge amount of biologically relevant information is stored. Databases are like online digital libraries where scientists from all over the world deposit their biological data so that it's easily accessible to everyone. Our speakers will introduce you to the types of databases which are available on the web. In today's session, we will be specifically covering biological and literature databases. With this brief background about databases, now I would like to introduce our first speaker of the session, Dr. Zishanur Rehman. Dr. Zishan is Assistant Professor in Botany at Zakir Hussain Delhi College, University of Delhi. He did his doctorate in microbiology from Department of Botany, University of Delhi. Dr. Zishan has hands-on experience of using the various bioinformatics resources and tools during his PhD research. He has published his PhD research in various international journals. He has also been teaching bioinformatics at undergraduate level in Zakir Hussain Delhi College. Now I request Dr. Zishanur Rehman to kindly deliver his talk on biological databases. I have a small request for the participants. I want to request all the participants to kindly write their questions or queries in the chat box of MS Teams. Thank you. Over to you, Dr. Zishan.
Thank you, Dr. Deepika, and good afternoon to all. And this session is going to be about biological databases, as it is mentioned by Dr. Deepika. So let me share my screen first. Hope my screen is visible. Please confirm.
Yes, it is visible.
Thank you. So we are going to talk about biological databases. Since you are undergraduate students, you may not be very much aware what is biological databases and what is the importance of having biological databases and what was the need that it has to be created for the use. So in this talk or in this hands-on session, we shall talk about what is bioinformatics in a brief to understand the need of biological database, and then we shall discuss that what is the importance of biological database and how did it created, and then we shall see that what are the different associations or organizations which are maintaining these biological databases. So this bioinformatics word has become a buzzword in contemporary biological research. So everybody is using bioinformatics, but the undergraduate students do not have much knowledge about the bioinformatics. So let's see that what is actually bioinformatics. So is in the bioinformatics, many scientists consider that it is an interdisciplinary subject, or sometimes it is also considered as a multidisciplinary subject, which involve computer science, biology, and statistics. So if you want to define bioinformatics, it can be defined as it's a computer application to organize, analyze, understand, visualize, and store the biological information by the help of statistical analysis. So when you are using biological data and apply some statistics, it becomes a biostatistics. And when the information of biostatistics is stored in computational or it is stored through networking, it becomes a new field that is bioinformatics. So as you know that the research are always reaching to higher level, and it is because the advent of new technologies. And the new technologies are developing abundant amount of data. So that is why there is the need of some space where we can store all the data so that it can be used for future research, and it should be it should be available to all the researchers who want to do some analysis. So for this, the need of biological database originated which store abundant amount of data. So if anybody wants to do some research, so they can take data sets from the biological databases. There are so many biological databases that we are going to discuss very soon, and they can use and do some statistical analysis, can use different tools of bioinformatics that is available through computational analysis and produce some results. So when we are talking about bioinformatics, this bioinformatics is not a subject of producing substantial knowledge, but this subject, bioinformatics, is a tool which enables to understand about the substantial knowledge. Like if we consider this research paper, just let me open this. Just a moment. Okay, so here we can see the origin of eukaryotic cell, a genome investigation. So this research paper was published in PNAS, Proceeding of the National Academy of Science of the United States of America. This journal has a very, very good reputation. And what we see in this paper, the analysis which has been made is includes only and only bioinformatics tools. And these are the tools, these are the same tools which are you are going to use, which you are going to learn in this workshop. Not today, but in upcoming sessions. So what does this origin of eukaryotic cell says? So this information which is being produced here says that, just wait. Yeah, so the hypothesis is the formation of eukaryotic cell is that a fusion of archaeon and with a bacteria. So now as per the our classification system, there is a 3-domain system which includes archaea, bacteria and eukarya. So they have originated from a common ancestor, that is the belief. But this research paper says that the eukaryotic organisms can be results of can be the formation of eukaryotic cell is a result of fusion of archaeon and bacterium. So the information, what it says is a substantial information, and this substantial information was provided by the use of bioinformatics databases and bioinformatics tools. And these things are available in the resources of various organizations that we are going to see soon. And also, like yesterday, if you recall the keynote addresses of yesterday, Professor Kumar said that human and chimpanzee evolved through a common ancestor. So this is a substantial information, and this substantial information was received by some analysis, and this analysis included bioinformatics resources and tools. So now let's see that what is biological database. So biological database is a kind of library which stores abundant amount of information. So you can see this library, this is a traditional library which stores lots and lots of books one after each other, and they are assigned by different numbers so that you are able to identify that which section, which number of section has which type of book. So each of these shelves have some specific books which will remain there, and it will be easy to identify the books of specific subjects. But this may not be very useful for storing the biological database because they are huge. And as a replacement, digital library has served the purpose to store biological database, and due to these following feature, as it has high storage capacity. You can see that your computer is sufficient to release all the information which you want. And also they are highly structured. It is possible that when you are using traditional library, some books may not be at their place. But when you are going to use digital libraries, they are highly structured. If you just type the keyword on the search engine, it produces several results which are obviously very much related to your query. Then also it does not have physical boundary. It means if you want to get the data that has been if you want to get the data set that has been researched in USA, you can get through internet. Then also it provides the multiple access. Multiple access means at the same time the same data can be used or same data can be accessed by multiple users. Then it also provides networking, means the data which is available can be linked through another related information. Then expenses, it has very less, it produces very less expenses because it does not require manpower. There is no expenditure on pages, printing. It does not require much space, so that's why it also reduces the expenses. And also there is advantage of being updation of the information. So if there is any change due to some new technology in the due to change in the information due to some new technology, the information can be updated in the digital library. So this is digital library which is being used by all of us. I think you know YouTube. YouTube is also a kind of digital library which stores video, and you have several features. You have filter option which you can select to have a specific search. Then similarly, Netflix, Amazon, Ghana.com, they all are digital library which serves purpose of your daily use. But now let's talk about the types of biological database. So what are the different kinds of biological database which exist are the scientific literature. So the scientific literature, you might have heard about the articles, book chapters. There are several scientific documents, and you know the Google Scholar is a very common platform to search for scientific literature. But there are several databases also which can store these scientific literature, and the next lecture after me will deal about these literature databases. Then other than this scientific literature, there are database of genome sequences. Genome sequences, there is a separate database for the genome sequences because with the advent of high throughput sequencing facilities, now it is possible to have sequence multiple sequence of the same time. And then we have a separate database which store information of the nucleotide sequence. Sometimes researchers are focused on certain nucleotides also, so that this kind of database stores information of some selected nucleotides. Then other than this, there is a database for the genes. Genes are the regions for the protein coding. So there is a separate database for the genes. Then also there is a database for the genetic variation, which can deal with the SNP, single nucleotide polymorphism. Then also there are databases for the protein sequences, molecular structure of protein. Then you can find the biochemical pathways also. There are database of chemicals, there are database of diseases, then the database is available for the taxonomy search also. Then you can get information about the phenotypes also from a different kind of database. And what is the beauty of the database? As I said, that it follows network. So the database of genome sequence, which gives information about the genome studies, the complete nucleic acid of any cell, might produce link to the taxonomy also. So you can just click on the link and it will send you to another page that will give the description about the taxonomy. Or in another way, the genome sequence, which has been done by some investigator and has published research on this, can be found by a direct link through scientific literature. Likewise, all these databases are linked to each other by networking. Then how this investigation can be done by using biological database. So first you need to have a hypothesis. Having hypothesis is the most important thing for any research study. First, you will have to create a hypothesis. Then in some cases, you can perform biological experiment. And when you perform biological experiment, it generates some amount of biological data. And this biological data can be stored in biological databases. And these databases can serve the purpose of analysis for data processing, mining, integration, and visualization. So this is one way of doing research in which you will have to perform biological experiment. But for many of us, it is not possible to do biological experiment in absence of resources, equipments, or funding. But still, this field of bioinformatics provide you facility that you can perform your research studies in silico analysis. And in that case, what do you have to do? You just have to cause hypothesis. You just have to get the hypothesis. You don't have to perform experiments. So in that case, you create a hypothesis, you go for the biological databases, you search for certain kind of data sets, and you do the analysis. But when you are going to use these biological database, it also requires the integration. Using one biological data set cannot produce sufficient result or doesn't make sense. So you have to integrate the knowledge of data sets from different biological databases. And that was done in this research that I have shown you here, this one, PNAS. And there are many research articles in very reputed journal like Nature, Science, and they also have not performed any wet experiment. They have just used these tools and resources and published article by having important hypothesis. So that is why I say having idea about doing research is most important than performing the experiment. So now let's talk about that. What are the popular organizing bodies which maintain these biological databases? So there are so many biological databases and it is maintained by several organizations, and I have mentioned few of them which are very popular and can be used at the initial level. And these are the NCBI, EBI-EMBL, DDBJ, INSDC, PIR, SIB. There are several others also, but basically we are going to deal with NCBI in this lecture. And when you have knowledge about NCBI, the resource and tools, you can also apply the same process to dig in EBI, EMBL, DDBJ, INSDC, PIR, SIB, and several other databases. So now let's talk about NCBI. So this is the main focus of our talk here. So NCBI is National Center for Biotechnology Information. We shall go to that page soon, but let's have a basic information about NCBI. So NCBI is a very, very small part of NLM. So NCBI is actually a research center, one of its research center of NLM. NLM is National Laboratory of Medicine. And this National Laboratory is a center of NIH. So if I say in another way, this NIH is a big organization which has 27 different centers, and out of which NLM is one of it. And this NLM also has two research center, and out of which NCBI serves the purpose of computational analysis. And the funding to the NCBI and many of the NIH organization is made by United States, government of the United States. And some of the popular resources which are available at the NCBI, they are PubMed, Bookshelf, PubMed Central, BLAST, Nucleotide, Genome, SNP, Genes, Protein, PubChems, and we are going to see this in the web page. So let's go to the web page. So first let me type NCBI. So this is the way where you can enter to the NCBI web page. And before I open this, let me show you the web address also. So this is ncbi.nlmnih.gov. That we have discussed just before, that the NCBI is a small part of NLM, and this NLM is a small part of NIH, which is funded by the government of United States. So let's go and see this page. So this is the main page of NCBI, and here if you see, the main page says welcome to NCBI. It talks about that what it deals with. So it basically deals with the information that is associated with biomedical and genomic information. So this is the web page, and you can directly open through just writing NCBI, or you can just write the web address, or let me just go to another web page, that is NIH, that big center. So this is NIH, National Institute of Health. So this is a part of US Department of Health and Human Services. As I said, there are several institutes of the NIH, and you can go to this, see and what are the different institute which has different purposes. So if we see the list of institute, so these are the different names, and these are there. You can find the quick links also. So as I said, that NLM, this NLM is part of NIH. So let's go to NLM. So this NLM is a small part of NIH, and if you just go down, scroll down, you see there are two centers for the research. One is research at the Lister Hill National Center for Biomedical Communication. Then another center serves computational biology at National Center for Biotechnology Information. So don't be confused about the name of NCBI, because sometimes some people call it B as a bioinformatics, sometimes it is called as biology. So it's not biology or bioinformatics, but biotechnology information. So the correct name of NCBI is National Center for Biotechnology Information. So let's go to that page. And if you click here, so you can see we have reached to the same page. which was directly open, just writing NCBI, right? See. So now let's talk about what are the resources which are available in NCBI. So if you see left hand side menu or right hand side menu, they are giving information about the resources list. So these resources, there are so many resources. If you click at the all resources, it will direct it you to all type of resources which are available to NCBI, or you can search about different types of databases also, like chemical database. If you are interested into data and software, you can click at this page. Or if you are interested in the data sets of RNA, DNA, you can click at this point. Or there are several options that you can go from here, or these are the popular resources. Why there is a separate bar for the separate right hand side menu for the popular resources? Because these are the popular resources which are being used by the scientific community, and out of these five popular resources, you are going to learn about many of them, like PubMed, Bookshelf, PubMed Center, BLAST, nucleotide, genome, protein, in the coming lectures. So apart from these sidebar menu, there is also another menu, which is drop down menu. So if you just open these drop down menu, you again get the same information. So there are two drop down menu actually. One is for the resources, and another one is for how to use that resource. So if we just see here and compare, it provides the same information which is available here also. So, but in this case, it also provides multiple menus. If you just click at biochemicals and bioassay, it gives results. It gives idea that which type of chemical and bioassay you want to perform or you want to study. Similarly, for DNA, RNA, if you just click here, you see there are different options which can be directed you to different databases or tools or services. And also you can find that many of the tools or resources are common in these different databases. Suppose if I just open this RNA and DNA and RNA, you can find the BLAST is present, then you can see the reference sequence is present. And also if you go and see the data and software, you can find BLAST again. You can see the BLAST here also, and if you go to protein also, you can see BLAST here also and reference sequence here also. So there are several things which are common in different kinds of databases. And how to, let's go to how to. And suppose if you are interested in using the database of chemicals and bioassay, you can open this page. Just let's see. Yes. So it says how to find bioassay that test a particular disease or protein targets. If you do not know how to use any of these resources, it also provides facility to use them. Then it also provides facility to submit the data. So it's not the duty of NCBI, NLM, NIH or government to upload these data, but it's the job of scientists who are performing the experiments. They can submit the data in the NCBI in these databases. And when these databases are having data which is available, can be used by any researchers. So you can get information how to use resources. Suppose if you are interested in studying about homology, Then you can go here and you do not know how to use it, then you can go and click at homology. Then it will direct you how to save search and set up automated search with email results, how to determine conserve synteny, and when you open these pages, it will give you lots and lots of detail to use those databases. For this also, let's take the example of BLAST. Oh, sorry. So how to use BLAST and what is BLAST? First of all, you might not know what is BLAST. So, okay, let's go for the DNA. How to use resources of DNA and RNA. So I have just clicked it, and then you may have questions like how to save text searches and set up automated searches with email result. Then you may have question how to retrieve all sequence of an organism, how to submit sequence data, and suppose if you click here and you want to see how to submit sequence, then it opens another page which give you information about how to submit your data. So here it's a large public repository. The NCBI serves as a large public repository for the biological and scientific information. And when you are going to submit the data, it will ask that what is data, whether it's a data of gene, whether it's a data of genome, whether it's the data of internal transcribed sequence, whether the data is SRA. So based on types of data, it will also suggest you the tool for the submission of data. Suppose if the data is 16S rRNA. Now, immediately after the click on 16S rRNA, it produced two different tools. It suggested two different tools which can be used for submission of your 16S rRNA gene sequence. And these gene sequences can be submitted in GenBank or SRA depending on the type of sequence. So the GenBank supports the sequence which are comparatively full-length genome, full-length sequence which are approximately more than 1,000 base pairs, whereas the SRA supports the unassembled reads. Unassembled reads means those sequences which are very short, like there are only 600 or 500 base pairs because of low throughput sequencing technology, or maybe due to because of metagenomic sequencing, which are accepting or which are releasing small sequences, small number of base pairs, with the small number of base pairs. So these are the regions where you can submit the sequence, and also it provides the way how can you submit. You can, if you click here, learn more, it will tell you about how can you do this, what are the process which is required. It's the same process as like you submit your forms. You must be applying for several positions, several jobs, or maybe for the admission. So you always need to fill the forms, and always these forms are always supported by an instruction. So these learn more is nothing but an instruction which will tell you how can you submit your sequence, ribosomal RNA sequence into GenBank. Likewise, the small sequences which are basically data of metagenomic and environmental survey can be submitted in another type of database, that is Sequence Red Archive. You might not know what is metagenomic. Metagenomic is a study which involves the sequencing of small biological organism, basically microorganisms, using environmental samples. So as you know that microbes are present in every environment, So it is present in soil, air, water, and the one way of studying microorganism is that you culture them, or the another way is to study them that you take the soil sample and you directly get the sequence of DNA. And when you get these sequences may not be may not be of very good quality. So that's why they are mainly unassembled. And due to this unassembled sequence, they are very short. And these short sequences are usually stored in sequence rate archives. Then it also offers other tools to submit other types of sequences like PSA, GEO. There are many bio projects and biosamples as well which supports the integration to submit your data with the projects which are being done by several institutes. So this is the process how you can submit your data in NCBI, and it is supported by NLM. So let's go to web page again, and the main key to submit your data is here. If you click here, submit, it will direct you to the page of submission. Then also, if you want to download the data if you want to download the data of NCBI to your computer, you can go to this web page. If you want to get more information, if you want some training, and if you want to learn anything, you can click on this page. It will also help you to provide various tutorials also. So let's just go and see. So if you want to learn more about NCBI and its tools, so you can just go here and learn about the different things. So NCBI offers webinar, courses, conference, presentations, tutorials, documentation for the training. So there are many YouTube tutorials also which can be helpful for you to understand the different resources or tools of NCBI. So here you can see, so there is a video which will guide you about the gene expression part 1. This is gene expression part 2. So there are 2 videos which will give you information about how to do gene expression. Just wait. So also, other than providing resources, it also support analysis. So there are several tools which I have mentioned before. BLAST is a tool which will help you to search the sequence. You will learn about the BLAST in coming lectures on another day. So there are many tools also which will help you to do some analysis. Then also you can go to the research which is being made by NCBI as well. So NCBI does not only provide the resources and tools, but it also have the research facility, and it is collaborating with several institutes for the various research on biological aspects. So now let's have visit on some of the biological database. So let's go and see. Let's see the PubChem. So this PubChem, I have clicked on the PubChem, and this PubChem is mainly supported by NLM, which is directed by NCBI. So the page of PubChem was linked to NCBI, but the main organization which maintains PubChem is NLM. So suppose if you want to know about any chemical, like let's take a very simple or simplest example, ethanol. So here it gives a suggestion also if you are talking about ethanol or maybe any other related compound or gene or taxonomy. So suppose if you are interested in knowing about ethanol. So here we are. So this ethanol, this is the best match which produce the result. So ethanol, it is ethyl alcohol. This is the chemical formula, molecular weight, IUPAC name. So these are the main information about the ethanol. But this is not the end. So if you see here, so there are this many number of the information about this compound. So there are more than 6,97,000 information about this compound, and then there are this many more than 1 lakh substances which are related to ethanol. There are genes which are associated with the ethanol. There are several pathways, like there are a record of 273 pathways which are associated with the ethanol. Likewise, there are different assays. There are also literature and patents which are associated with the ethanol. So now let's take some example from this. Let's open here pathway. Let's open the pathway. So if I open this pathway, so you can see there are 273 results. So this 273 results directs you about the pathway where the ethanol is involved. So first results give you about the ethanol metabolism production by ROS or something. So the organism which is being studied on it is Homo sapien, and you can see that it is forming a network. So if I click at this taxonomy, let's do it right now. So I'm just going to a next page to open the taxonomy. So this is a link which provides the detail about the organism on which it studied. So now another browser is open, which is taxonomy. We will go there soon, and there is information about the compound count. So let's go and see this also, and let's go and see this. So the database of NCBI need to be explored. Whenever you see it, always have additional information, and it is always being updated with the availability of information. So if you have opened this page today, and if you open the same page after 1 month, you may get a different information because they are regularly updated. So now let's see, we have opened these links, and what are the information which can be retrieved from that. Let's see, this is about the taxonomy. So this is taxonomy, and we know that the taxonomy, we are looking for the Homo sapiens. And this is the detail of the lineage. So this lineage, this is a cellular organism, this is a eukaryota. Just wait, why it's not okay. So it gives detail about all the ranks of the Homo sapiens, and then it also mentions about the different subspecies and other detail of the organism. And if you want to know more about any of these organisms, you can go to another page and get the detail. So when we open to this taxonomy browser that was directed through the PubChem. But let's open another page of NCBI. Just wait. See, so there is another, there is a database of taxonomy here as well. So yeah, taxonomy, yes. So here, let's write Homo sapiens. So see, we are on the same page here also, and then from here also. So as I said, that they are always, the informations are connected from one region to another region. But the links are always provided so that if you are interested to know information, related information of the search, it is available in one hand. So here you can see when we were searching, when we were making search for the ethanol, we made search about the taxonomy. Then it also provides information about the compounds count. So this was the page. So there are 17 types of compound which are related to this structure. So these are the acetaldehyde, and there are so many things which can be done by just having these links. So likewise, you can search for many chemicals. Let's take another example, penicillin. Yeah. So here we have, or okay. Yes. So you know that penicillin can be of different type, or in general, if you just want to write penicillin, you can search. And now let's see, this is the best compound which match with your search, and then you have a detail about the compound. So these are the number of compound which is available in the database of your search. Then there are these many substances, this number of substances, or these many results which are available to related substances. Then there are information associated genes, protein, pathways, bioassay, literature, patents. So let's have a look on some of the features. So let's see. So here we have a description of penicillin G and penicillin 5 biosynthesis. So if you click on them, it will open you to another web page that is associated with BioSys. So this BioSys is another database which is open, and here you can get the information about these pathways, and on the right hand side menu you can get the description which you are interested. Suppose if you are interested in the literature associated with the penicillin G, you can have the link from here. So if you click on PMID, it will direct you to research paper associated with the penicillin G or penicillin 5 biosynthesis pathways. So here also, when we were making this search as a general penicillin, it produces 299 compounds or these many substances or so on. But if we made a selective search, suppose if we want information on penicillin G, so here you can see the information is reduced, because now the information which is available, the results which is showing, has the limited compound which is a specific specifically associate with penicillin G. And now let's have look on some other kinds of database also. Let's go to main web page and let's have a search for the protein. Suppose if you are interested to know about protein. So there are several databases for the protein also, like bioprojects, biosystems, conserve data domain, HIV, protein database. So there are so many databases, and it does not require to mention also. So suppose if you are interested in protein database, you can select it from here as well. So if you write protein and you write it here, you can take an example. Let's take Rubisco, and you click a search on here. So now here we can see that we have got the results for the Rubisco protein, and you can select your results or creating advanced search also. Just let me open this and support. So in this field you can put some other related fields also with providing detailed information, and then it will enable the specific search. But just let's go to normal search, general search, and here we get the results. And you can also add the number of items per page. Like if you want to see more number of items on the page, suppose if you are interested to see 100 items per page, then you can select here and you will have 100 items. And after this search, you have got 3,49,101 results. But what is so interesting here, that when you are making this search, it is also giving information that what are the number of species in which the Rubisco is present. So you can see the name of any animal also. But if you are a biology student, you know this Rubisco enzyme is responsible for the photosynthesis, right, for carbon fixation. So this enzyme is not available in animal. So why is it showing then? So what does it mean that there is another name? Just wait, let me just open this and show you why is it showing 2,631 results for the animal. Or let's go and see there. Here you can see the result says, just wait. Yeah, on the right hand side also you can see the Homo sapiens also has produced 81 results. So let's go and see how is it possible to have Rubisco in human. So here you can see there is a protein which has the name chain BN lysine methyltransferase. But if you see the name, it does not mention about Rubisco at all. Then why this is showing in a result of for the search Rubisco? Let's go and see here inside also. So when we go inside, if you see this page, it contains so many information, but if you just have made a search about Rubisco, so see, so there is some region which has a name Rubisco, which allows the search in the protein to include these protein also. So that's why whenever you are making search, you should have a prior knowledge also on the subject. So since being a biology student, you know Rubisco is present in the plants and in some prokaryotes. So this may not be present in animals, right? So now when you know the Rubisco are mainly present in plants, so and also if you have interest to look Rubisco for the plants, then you can restrict your search from there. So if I click on plants, so I will get the results of only the only Rubisco which are present in the plants. Then some popular organism, the popular organism in which the Rubisco has been studied are present on the right hand side menu, right hand side bar. Then also you can select the databases for your search. You can filter your search for the different database. So there are different kinds of database which you will know little later, but not in this session. So there are PDB, reference sequence, UniProt. So these are the different database which has a different facilities. And you can also filter your search based on the different information: molecular weight, sequence length, release date, revision date, and then you can see the links with you can see the link which can direct you to another page for the related information. You can click on the nucleotide to get related information about the taxonomy, and there are several in the other information which will help you to understand about the topic. So I'm not going to open these things because one of the lecture will discuss about how to extract these information. Then also let's go and see one more database. Let's just wait. Mm, let's have a look on SNP. So SNP is a single nucleotide polymorphism which deals with the human single nucleotide variation. So there are so many variations in the genome, and there is a single nucleotide variation which can cause many important effects, and this database deal with it. However, the origin of SNPs included the single nucleotide variation among different organisms, but now this SNPs is available for the study of human. And suppose if you write just human SNP, just wait for a moment. Yeah, so here we have the results, and you can see there is a specific code which is talking about the allele. So what is the allele which what is the single nucleotide which may be alternative to uh, 1? So there is a G and A. So G is an alternative to 1 for RS248 sequence. And this search can have a clinical significance. So you can search by different uh, clinical concerns for pathogenic, for benign, for different effects. Then you can also search through different risk factors. So these are the different filter units which enables you to identify the specific search. Then also, if you see at the bottom also, so if you see this section, so you can get information that about the NCBI education. Then it also provides help manual, handbooks, training tutorial that can be get it from here. Then again, it talks about the popular resources, features, and NCBI information. So this is just a basic information for you to provide that how can you extract the information. And soon in the next lecture after me, it will be there will be talk on literature database, which shall give you information about what are the different databases which can be used to get literature. So this was the information about the NCBI, and there is also one very important uh, database of gene, which is known as GenBank. So GenBank is a sequence database which store information of DNA. So this is very important database to extract the information. And also let me tell you about one very important thing about the bioinformatics, that the bioinformatics is not only about studying the biological sequence. As you can see here that it provides information on chemicals that is associated with biological studies. It also provides studies on the discovery of drugs. Then it also identify the diseases. It talks about the structure, function. So as a whole, as a overall, the study of bioinformatics is useful to study every aspect of biological study. And now after this NCBI, let's have a look on some other database which I have mentioned here. So this was about the NCBI. Now let's go and have a quick look on EBI, EMBL. Then we shall go for the DDBJ. We shall go for the INSDC, PIR and SIB. So let's have a look on them also. So let's click EBI. So here we have the page of EMBL, which has address ebi.ac.uk. So UK is United Kingdom. So this is a database of Europe. So NCBI was an organization of USA. The EMBL EBI is a organization, or EBI is an organization of Europe. And now let's open DDBJ also, so that I can make you understand relatively. So this is a DDBJ. This is DNA Data Bank of Japan. DNA Data Bank of Japan. EBI EMBL is European Bioinformatics Institute. European Molecular.
Sir, your voice is not audible.
Am I audible now? Am I audible?
Yes, Dr.
Shan, you are audible.
Okay. So it is DDBJ is DNA Data Bank of Japan. EBI EMBL is European Bioinformatics Institute, which supports European Molecular Biology Laboratory. So let's have a look on these pages and see how they are connected to each other. So I was talking about GenBank here. Just let's have a look on GenBank again. So just this is GenBank, which is a sequence database, sequence of NCBI, sequence of DNA and RNA. And if we see this page, EMBL, EBI, this is also a database which support several services, research, training, and you can get more information from here. Let's have a look on the services which is provide, and you will see one one very common thing, that it supports the information of DNA and RNA. It has several tools also, it has several resources also. So there are tools like Cluster Omega. You are going to use this tool soon, maybe from here or maybe from the software. Then there is a very unique resource, Ensemble, and it also provides a link to UniProt, which provides a database for the protein sequence. Then there are several resources and tool, and you can see the BLAST, which I have shown you in NCBI page, is also available on the EMBL page. And then also there are resources or databases for DNA and RNA. So you can get the same result or same information that is available in GenBank also, which also supports the sequence database. Similarly, if you go to another page that is about DDBJ, that is DNA Data Bank of Japan, which also have several similar features, all which also include some unique tools and database also. So if we go there, we can see the BLAST. If you see, you can get the BLAST here also. So the BLAST is available in NCBI, in EMBL, and DDBJ as well. So why they are present in every place? Because this BLAST is very important tool to search nucleotide homology search. And the DDBJ also has databases for the sequences. So why there are three databases for the same kind of information? So let's have a look on that. Why is it so? And there is another center, that is INSDC, that we are going to talk about. So if we just go to next slide. So this is INSDC. So INSDC can connect NCBI, DDBJ, ENA, EBI. So as I said, NCBI has a GenBank, then it has a sequence read archive that I have discussed about. Then it has trace archive, bioprojects. Likewise, DDBJ also has a sequence database, which is the DDBJ sequence read archive, trace archive, and also it also includes bioproject. Then also EBI, EMBL has a EMBL bank sequence read archive. So they are connected to each other by the service of INSDC. So why they are connected to each other having same kind of information? So this can be your uh, question. So suppose, as I said, that the many scientific investigation produce different results, and these results are supposed to be submitted by the investigator on the databases. So as you know that there are three different databases for the nucleotides. So there is one database in NCBI that is called as GenBank, and then there is the DDBJ and EMBL, which all are storing the nucleotide sequence. So suppose if a scientist has made an investigation and submitted a data ABCH, and then another scientist which has found something related to that, or has studied the same organism and found some similar data and also some new information. So that new information is added in the DDBJ. Then also it is possible some other researcher has performed any another study and they have also produced some data which is similar to this and this. So some information was available to NCBI, some information was available to DDBJ, some information were available to EBI, EMBL. So what is the function of INSDC? That it collects information from, it collects the data of NCBI and DDBJ and EMBL and combine them and then make them available to NCBI, DDBJ, EBI and EMBL. So now the data which was incomplete ABCH or CFI or BCDFG is completed. It means the data which you are retrieving is complete. But when it was submitted, it might not have been completed. So the purpose of INSDC to collect information from all these centers and gather the information and provide to these to their databases, which are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, or F, G, H, I. Or still there is a, it is possible that some information is still missing. So as you can see, A, B, C, D, E is missing. So it is possible the future research may able to identify a new element and it can be added in all three databases. So now after this, just wait. So now after this NCBI, EBI, EMBL, DDBJ or INSDC, let's have a look on another database which is PIR and SIB. So this NCBI, EMBL, DDBJ, they are connected to each other for the nucleotide as well as for the amino acid sequences, but this same information which is available in protein database is also associated with the PIR, and this PIR is also associated with EMBL. But the main purpose of PIR, that is protein information resources, deals with the information about the protein. Let's have a look on PIR. So here we have proteininformationresource.org. So this organization also provides several resources, and these resources can be taken from drop down menus, and the best resource, or sorry, the best resource or the database to extract information about protein is UniProt. We can go and have a look on that. And then it also provides several tools for the analysis. Then you can download your search, and then it also provides support for your queries, and you can contact them for different informations. So let's have a look on UniProt. So UniProt is a protein database, and there are different parts are actually also, but let's not go into the detail of UniProts and have a look on how to use UniProt. So this is the main page of UniProt. Suppose if you want to search about any protein, you can write it here. Let's take the same example of protein that we have searched in NCBI, that was Rubisco. So when we do this search, we get the several results. And now what we see here again, you can see the popular organisms are mentioned here. So in this case also you can see the results in human is also mentioned. But you know that it's not possible it's a fact that the Rubisco is not present in human. So we can exclude them when we are going to search them. Then you can also filter your search by the gene, protein family, by the taxonomy, or by different keywords. And also you may see that there is a star for some of the in front of some of the protein names. So what is this star? So let's see. So this says the star is Swiss Prot. Swissprot, what is Swissprot? Swissprot is an organization which provides annotation. Annotation क्या होता है? Annotation is a refined sequence, means the sequence which has been provided is a refined sequence and available as a reference sequence. And also here you can here in this page also you can see there is a direct link which will give you information about the organism. It also gives the name of gene. Then it also gives about a description about the length. And if you want to get more detail about this, you can click on this entry and you have a description about this particular protein. So this is about the Rubisco biphosphate carboxylase large chain, which has a gene name CBBL, and the organism in which it has studied is HalothioBacillus, and so on. And it is a reviewed it has a reviewed structure. It means the Swiss Prot has manually studied or has made some annotations uh, for this information. So it provides the information about the function, it provides the structure, and at last you will see it also provides the structure detail about the structure and the protein structure, which the protein structure information is associated with another database, which is PDB, Protein Data Bank. This Protein Data Bank is another database which provides information on the three-dimensional structure of the protein. So in this page as well, we can see the three-dimensional structure, and at last you will see the sequence of the protein. So I'm not going to detail in the sequence and the other things. That is going to be dealt by other day sessions, but I hope mm, it might have been helpful to understand what is database and how can we use them for our future analysis. So with these words, I would say if you know how to extract the biological data and you know how to apply statistical method and tools on your data set, you are also a researcher. So being an undergraduate student also, you can perform these analysis by taking different data sets. But what is important to understand that you should make your own hypothesis. And to prove and disprove this hypothesis, you can make use of these biological database to extract data sets. Then you should have some basic knowledge on the statistical methods and tool to apply the methods for your biological for your data. Thank you. Hello.
Thank you, Dr. Zishan. That was a very interesting and informative lecture. Now I request Dr. Ruchi to please take up students' questions for the question answer session. Over to you, Dr. Ruchi.
Good afternoon, everyone. And indeed, Dr. Zishan, it was such a very informative lecture. And there are several questions that are asked by our participants. And few of the questions you have already answered in your presentation only. But nevertheless, I am going to take a few selected questions because the list is long and I think we have time constraint. So the first question was, what is homology?
Okay. So homology is a term which is used to compare the sequences. So when there are many sequences like DNA, you know about these sequences, DNA sequences, amino acid sequences, and when you are comparing the sequences, you find certain regions which are common to each other, and that is homology. Means similar, how they are similar to each other, and as of course there will be some difference in different organisms. If we see the sequence, if we take any gene sequence from my body, or if I take if we take a gene sequence from any other bodies of the human, we find some difference in it, but still there are several common regions which is called as homology.
Okay. The second question is, can we design PCR primers using NCBI?
Yes, there are tools for designing primers which can be used. Yes, you have
And
to just write how to design primers and you will get the results about it.
okay. Then another question was that how can we get PDB ID of a protein that is registered on NCBI? And is there is any way that we can know that the protein is registered in NCBI or not?
Uh, that's a tricky question, I would say, because if you are interested to know about PDB database or PDB, the protein structure, so then in that case, you can open the PDB page and you just write the keywords that is for your search, and you get the information from there. And then you can try on the NCBI page, but that does not serve any purpose because the ultimate purpose is to get information. So that can be done by using just PDB. So there is no purpose of like making links through NCBI.
Okay, then from which database we can retrieve protein sequence and its structure?
Okay, so there are two databases, though two different types of database, I would say. So the PDB is the database which gives information about the three-dimensional structure, whereas the protein database can be found in NCBI. If you just, as I have shown you in the, just wait for a moment, I can share my screen, just wait. So if we see here, if we go to the main page, and you can see the protein, it mentions about the protein, and if you click here, protein, and you go into protein database. So there you can see all the information which will appear will be associated with the protein, right? Suppose if I'm interested in any other, like let's take an example of hexokinase. Hexokinase is an enzyme, and when I write it and search, it produces several results about the hexokinase enzyme, and it gives results as I have formerly selected for the plants, but now it needs to clear also, so that I am able to see results from different organisms. And also you can get the database, the search results from PDB as well. So here, if you just click at PDB, so that will give you information about the structure from NCBI as well, directly from here.
Okay. Then are these services like BLAST and Ensemble available for everyone?
Yes, it is available to everyone. Even being an undergraduate student, also you can use. Even anyone can use, those who have internet facility and has a laptop. That's it. That is the only requirement to use it, and it is very, very easy to use it. You will love it when you will have a training on that.
Okay. Then this will be the last question, because the list is quite long, but we have the other speaker also that is waiting. So one participant wants to know if there is difference between BLAST and other databases.
Of course.
FASTA and BLAST. I'm sorry. FASTA and BLAST.
FASTA is a format actually, and BLAST is a tool. FASTA is a format which is used to analyze the data. So FASTA format and the BLAST, if I discuss about this, it might not be convenient because it requires a lot of time to explain about the BLAST and FASTA. But there is another session which will deals with FASTA sequence, how to create FASTA sequence, what is the notepad, and then there is a session about the BLAST also, so where you will learn about how can you do these things.
Yes. Thank you very much, Dr. Zishan, and my apologies to participants whose question are not being taken up. So now I call upon Dr. Deepika Sharma to introduce our next speaker, and thank you, Dr. Zishan.
Thank you, Dr. Deepika, and thank you,